I was a mum. I had, by then in 2012, I had a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. And I must admit, I wasn't really enjoying motherhood. I found it really challenging at times. Not only just juggling your job, but trying to do what you need to do at home to get them ready for school and dinner. And I thought, I didn't sign up for this. This is not fun. Something snapped after that. It was just like 1-year anniversary came and I'm like, I need to do something different. I don't know what it is, but I need to live life. I can't be feeling sorry for myself. And so that's how we went into the journey of mindfulness. And that was the buzzword back in 2014, 15.
Yeah.
And I started to deep dive. I'm one of those people, like, you get me on a topic, I'll find every book, every video that I can watch. And I just remember reading and learning about mindfulness. And I noticed by the end, I was less reactive. If something happened and I didn't like it, I wasn't getting like having a rant. I was actually like, oh, I'm actually composed. I don't have to get upset. And I knew that this was working. I thought, oh, this is the key.
Hey everyone, it's Sophia from Sacred You. Thank you so much for being here. A quick message before we dive into today's conversation. You may have been watching the podcast videos, but have not had a chance to hit that subscribe button. So if you have ever gained value from our videos, from our conversations, it would mean so much to us if you would hit that subscribe button below right now, or even just give us a like. And what that means is not only does it allow us to grow our subscriber base, but it allows us to bring in more important guests for you to listen to. And you will be one of the first ones to be notified. So please hit that subscribe button and let's get started on today's conversation.
Welcome to the Pathways to Wellbeing, presented by Sacred You, a global community dedicated to empowering women across the world. My name is Helen Prince, and I'm very pleased to welcome Suzanne Marambio to our conversation today. Hi, Suzanne.
Hello.
Thanks so much for joining us. You have had an incredible journey, and we will get to your journey in a moment. What I think was the main thing that really stood out for me is that how everyone in life gets hit with curveballs. There'll be something, we'll be going along in life and everything's fine, and then bam, something will happen, and it can really throw us. And I know that has been your experience, and I know that there's going to be a lot of women who have had a similar sort of experience, and whether that's with, it could be a job, it could be a relationship, it could be anything, your health, all sorts of things. So I'm really looking forward to unpacking what your journey was and building on that to be able to give the people watching this some hope and also some tips, some takeaways, some things that they can do and some inspiration. Because I think too, when things do go pear-shaped, it can be hard to see in that moment, what can I do? How do I get out of this? And that's often where people can struggle. So let's get into it. Do you want to give a little bit of a background as to your journey?
Yes, I will. For me, I was a mum. I had, by then in 2012, I had a 2-year-old and a 6-year-old. And I must admit, I wasn't really enjoying motherhood. I found it really challenging at times. Not only just juggling your job, but trying to do what you need to do at home to get them ready for school and dinner. And I thought, I didn't sign up for this. This is not fun.
Exactly.
And no one talks about it, do they? The toughness of it. Exactly. And I could see myself getting triggered a lot. And I knew that this is not good. I don't want to be like all the time snappy and be a dragon mum. I could see that happening. And then the curveball for me was my mum. She got diagnosed with cancer. And it was very quick for us as a family how to navigate that. And we knew back in November 2011 something wasn't right. She had an ulcer on her tongue. And she did radiation therapy in March 2012. And unfortunately, that did not work. It actually made it bigger. So then I watched her not being able to eat. It was literally like something growing in your throat, and she couldn't swallow, like she was literally on liquids. And then what happened, she got into an emergency situation where she bled, and they took her to the Alfred Hospital in Melbourne, and they said, oh, she's actually got cancer. And that was just like, what the? So that was the 9th of July. I can recite all the dates. And I just remember at that time going, oh, what does this mean? And then when they called us in to look at the pictures of the RMI on the wall, you could just see black splotches. And I was just like, oh, this is serious. And I remember her thinking with my dad, they were real cruise setters. And she's thinking in her head, I'm going to go on the next cruise. But we're all looking at go, no, you're not going to go on the next cruise. And we had to explain to her, that's not good. So I remember her getting wheeled back to her room, and she was just like, oh, I don't believe it. I'm going to fight it. It's a miracle. I'll find a way. But in my head, I was like, no, this can't be happening. I think we all spiraled into our own vortex of trying to cope. My dad was probably in denial. I was just like, oh, I'm going to lose my mom. And my brother was just like trying to hold it together. And yeah, it was just hard to watch her over those last 3 weeks, counting it down. She passed away on the 31st of July. And I remember preparing for the funeral. I did what I could to give her the best eulogy. But I remember life after it was just empty. And it was hard to mother my children because I wasn't connected to that role. I was fortunate that I had my mother-in-law live with us because I have a blur. I don't know what happened over that 12 months. And I remember just thinking, I can't live like this. I don't want to be like grieving every day and feeling sad. There's got to be more to life. And something snapped after that. It was just like 1 year anniversary came, and I'm like, I need to do something different. I don't know what it is, but I need to live life. I can't be feeling sorry for myself. And then this is what I call in my book the alter ego. I was like, what can I do? I'll transition into a new style. I'll change my wardrobe. And so I went through this whole era of retro. So if you saw me, I had full mid-century vintage fashion, beautiful dresses, did my hair in curls, full makeup. But it was escapism. It was the alter ego masking the grief. And I did that for about a year or so. I loved it, but still unhappy, still angry at the kids, snappy. I didn't like who I was becoming. And my girlfriend and I, she said to me, oh, there's this weekend we can go and learn about the purpose of life. And I'm like, yeah, I'm open to it. Why not? And it was quite good because it was just everyday life people coming together in one room, but there was life coaches talking about the key to life is finding purpose, being of service. Because we're into ourselves, we're so self-centered sometimes. We don't think about how can we give back? How can we find meaning? And I remember her saying to me, oh, do you want to do something with children? And I'm like, yeah, I do. I actually do. Because if I can model a behavior, then my children will learn from me as a role model. And so that's how we went into the journey of mindfulness. And that was the buzzword back in 2014, 15.
Yeah.
And I started to deep dive. I'm one of those people, like, you get me on a topic, I'll find every book, every video that I can watch. And I just remember reading and learning about mindfulness. And we had this book, it was the 8 weeks of the mindfulness in a frantic world by Mark Williams, I think it was at the time. And we dedicated ourselves. We got up at 6 a.m. We listened to the audio, and I'm sitting there going, this feels weird. I'm not used to this, listening to my breath. And I don't know, I'm getting this itch and I'm getting these niggles. And it's, you just have to keep going. Like, you got to sit on the mat. You got to sit on the mat. And I noticed by the end, I was less reactive. If something happened and I didn't like it, I wasn't getting like having a rant. I was actually like, oh, I'm actually composed. I don't have to get upset. And I knew that this was working. I thought, oh, this is the key. So I set up a self-care plan for myself. And I thought, I'm going to click that alarm. I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock. I'm going to meditate. But there were still moments where I was still getting triggered. And I thought, oh, this is not working. And I thought, I'll look up mindful parenting. There must be something to do with parenting. And then that's when I discovered Dr. Shafali, and she changed my world. And that's conscious parenting, which is quite revolutionary when you think about it, because it's about parenting yourself before you parent the child. And I remember
Before
watching
we get
it.
into that, because I
Yeah.
really want to dive into this
Yeah,
conscious
go for it.
parenting. But what is, because like you said, mindfulness, that was the buzzword. What does it actually mean in
Yeah, okay.
layman's
That's a really
term to
good
be
place to
mindful?
start. For me, what I've learned, the way I describe it is, imagine yourself in a cafe and there's all these busy workers and there's people talking in the booth and you can hear the kitchen cooking and you're like trying to watch everything, right? But mindfulness is you're just the observer. You're seeing and you're watching, but you're not getting involved in their conversations and the dramas and people talking over here. You're just observing and you're quite neutral. You're not like going, oh, that's bad and that's good and that's right and that's wrong. You're just sitting in that space where it's like watching the movie, but you're not actually in the movie. And I think with us, we're so busy in our mind, we get caught up in drama, but we're finding it hard to just sit in stillness and go within. And what I discovered over time is that when I started to actually observe my breath, it was like every moment of the breath is a miracle. Like when you start to follow it, the ebb and flow, you realize this is a miracle, just to be able to breathe in and breathe out. And then you start to quiet the mind, because the mind can't have two thoughts. It can only focus on one thing. So when you put your attention to the breath and hearing that ebb and flow, it almost sounds like the ocean sometimes when you do it, like through the nose and out through the mouth. You start to lose all those thoughts. Or if you see them, it's like you imagine them on the cloud and they're just passing by and you just let them go. You don't attach to that thing anymore. So it's practicing non-attachment. It's practicing this stillness, and it's practicing this place where you can just watch it. And it's practicing equanimity, where you see everything, but you're not caught up in the story, in the narrative. So it's not easy. Like I'm saying, like you can't do it overnight. That took me weeks to figure that out. And then I've been doing this for years now. And you can get like membership with Insight Timer or Calm. Some people are visual, or some people just prefer audio. It's about finding what's right for you, but that's the place to start. We don't get taught how to focus on our breath. A lot of people don't breathe properly. They breathe through their mouth.
And it's very shallow up here instead of nice and deep. And when you're doing that as well, you're physiologically changing your body. It's calming everything down. It's bringing all the blood back into the torso instead of out in the extremities. It's creating that, like you said, that separation so that you can actually see things. And that gives you that space to respond.
That's right. That's how they define it. Yeah, it's that space between the stimuli and the reaction. You don't get caught up in the reaction. That's the key. So it's not like, so many people do. They get caught up in the reaction, and that's what makes them upset and gets triggered.
Yes. Yeah. Exactly. Fantastic. So yes, so mindfulness, very important. It is a practice, like everything. And I think too, people don't think that they have practiced getting caught up in it, but they have, simply by continually doing it on a constant. Often it's not intentional. We don't intentionally go out to find drama. Okay, the majority of people. However, if that's what the patterns, the programs, the role modeling, the whatever, the influences, you have actually practiced doing that because you continue to do it over and over. So you need to practice the opposite and give yourself that little bit of space and time, and don't expect, oh, I did it on Monday, why hasn't it?
No, that's what people don't understand. It's not, you just don't come and go. It's a constant discipline, but then it becomes just part of your lifestyle.
Exactly.
I look forward to it. I don't mind. As soon as I get up, 5:30, whatever. It's like now I do my own affirmations. I listen to my own voice, like affirming, priming my brain. And then I do silver method, which is that, and it's got like a theta stage. I almost go into self-hypnosis. I sometimes just snap out and go, oh, that's it, it's done. And then I do the Wim Hof, because I find the Wim Hof amazing, like the breath and then holding it for a minute and then breathing out for the minute, holding that, and then breathing up for 15 seconds. And then, and it's a great pattern. And you just find things around the house like which would normally annoy me, I just go, oh, that doesn't bother me anymore. So I know it works because I'm not
Yeah,
reactive. Yeah.
that's right. Because your brain's actually, the lights of, when we're emotional, it's all on back here, and our
Correct.
logical brain is turned off. So you're
Mm.
doing so much in these simple little activities. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I think that's why they can be often maybe disregarded or not given the value that they actually hold, because
Yeah.
people don't quite understand what they're doing and how it is benefiting in so many ways that then
Mm.
has a ripple into lots of
Yeah.
different areas of your life. Now, you mentioned lots of different techniques that you do. So do you teach people these? Are they in your book? Are they
Yeah, I do talk
things?
about that. So there's a whole section called Practicing Supreme Self-Care. Mind you, I look at
Yeah,
myself 2 years ago, I go, I was a bit hardcore. I've actually cut back. I was doing like an hour and a half self-care practice, but now
yeah,
I've scaled it. I think it's not always about the quantity, it's the quality. And I've found different
absolutely.
things that work. So it's for me, I would never say go an hour and a half and do it. You got to carve time in your day. We've all got 24 hours. And
Yes,
I always believe that, and I say it in the book as well, if we can't even devote 20 minutes for ourselves, what is that saying? Like, you need to be your greatest love of all again, because we're so into giving and serving others, but sometimes you do need to put that the mask on to get the oxygen that you need. And it might be going for a walk. It might be just mindfully eating or mindfully drinking your cup of tea and coffee. Just not double like multitasking, but just like when you read, when you drink, when you eat. It doesn't have to be like what I'm saying, what I did, but these are some tips and it did work. So
yeah,
I think it's just having the structure and the commitment and dedication to say, yeah, I deserve it. I am enough. Why can't I
yeah,
put myself first? It's not
yeah.
selfish, it's actually self-full because you're filling your own emotional cup. So then you can be in abundance and overflow to give to others when they need it, and you can hold space for people. But when we're on empty,
Absolutely.
we've got no time for anyone. I was empty when I was early days as a mum. I wish I knew what I knew now, but that's my path. I had to go through that journey so I can teach this and educate people about it.
Absolutely. Because we are actually always giving. When we talk
Yeah.
about our cup being empty, we're either having a positive or a negative impact on people. Obviously, there's shades in between. But generally speaking, we're either having a positive impact or a negative impact. And when our cup is empty, we're having a really big negative impact
Mm,
on people. So we
yeah.
are always influencing, there's always a ripple. And it's about choosing what ripple do I want to give in the life?
And how can you
What
show up as the
influence?
best version of yourself? Because a lot
Exactly.
of us, and I know when I look back to the old version of myself, I was not showing up in my best version. And I'm not proud of it, but I had to go through that journey. Had to see the dark
And
side, the ugly side, to say, no, I don't want to
I
do
think
that again.
I think, Suzanne, a lot of women are going to resonate with that, because a lot of the
Mm,
things that you were saying is, oh yeah, I did that, I did that, I did that.
mm,
I was the angry mum. I was
mm.
yelling and reactive. And I woke up one day thinking, I do not like who I am. And so I think it's more common than we realize.
Oh,
And one thing
absolutely.
that I did as well was not talk about it, I was comparing, saying, oh no, look at them, they've got it sorted out. So
Mm.
therefore there's something wrong with me. It's like they're messed up, or they've got their own issues as well.
Because
We're just
we
really good
filter
at,
ourselves when we're out with our
that's
friends.
right.
My best friend, when she read my like manuscript, she said, I didn't know you went through all this because I didn't share all that. And she said, don't you ever do that again. And I'm like, okay. Because there
But
was a bit of shame
we
and there was
don't
a bit
want to
of
be a burden.
embarrassment.
Yes, there's that embarrassment, there's the
Yeah.
shame, don't want to burden other people,
Yeah,
don't want them to
exactly.
think badly of
Yeah.
us. There's all sorts of rubbish
Mm.
that goes on in our
Yeah.
heads. And I love that so your book is called Journey from the
From
Ego
the
to the
ego
Center.
to the heart center.
And I
Yeah.
love that you have this tool for women who, it's, you know what? We're not as unique as we think we are. We all have the same things
Yeah,
going
we
on.
do. Yeah.
Support each other. Let's help each other through this, because at the end of the day, when we do that, we're helping ourselves, we're helping our partners, we're helping our children, our colleagues, our friends. There's this bigger ripple. So it's
Mm.
not selfish to do. It is the
No,
most
it's not.
selfless thing that you can do.
Yeah. And I think it's reassuring that you're not alone, because a lot of us
Exactly.
do feel, because we don't have the village of our family. A lot of people are doing it on their own.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so it does get a bit lonely in that mothering
Yeah.
role.
Absolutely.
Mm,
Absolutely. So talk to me now. You said you found this thing called conscious parenting. What does that
correct.
mean?
It's a very interesting term, but basically what it means is that when we look at our children and we get upset with them and we get triggered, it has nothing to do with them. It means that internally, inwardly, we have a childhood trauma or wound that needs to be healed. So the child is reflecting back to us where we still need to grow up. So most of us are still stuck in our 4-year-old or 5-year-old self where we felt the least loved, the least seen, the least validated, the least heard. And so what happens when we have our interactions with our children and they do something, we think, "Oh, how dare they do that? No, I don't agree with it." And we get upset and we want to project our belief systems onto them. It's actually where we need to pause as the parent and go, hang on, this is something with me. This is an old wound that I need to heal. And it might be forgiving, it might be just going back to that place and soothing the inner child. So it's like for me, it would be like going back to the little girl, Suzanne, who was the people pleaser, who was trying to do well for her, to be the apple of her eyes for her parents. And then you go back to it and you go, oh, I don't resonate with this anymore. I'm not a bad person. But at that time when you were a little girl, you thought you were bad because in those days, in the 80s, you get shamed. You go to your room, you might get smacked. And so it's no, conscious parenting is like, no, I have to parent myself first. I have to re-parent. And our parents only could parent us where they were at consciously. So
Yes.
conscious parenting is like you tap in and you become more self-aware of your behavior. You start to recognize, that's what's triggering it. It's an old abandonment or a victimhood, or it's a limiting belief or a cultural belief, and it doesn't sit with me anymore. And so that's where you have to challenge. I had to peel away all those things over the years to go, who am I? What resonates with me? How do I want to show up with my children? And so it's a conscious effort. And my children are great teachers for me, especially my daughter, where she shows me, you're not being very conscious. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not. Thank you for teaching me that. So it's a good reality check. Like sometimes you need it. It's like you need to go inward and realize I'm not perfect. I have flaws, and that's okay. And I can be the teacher and I can be the student at the same time. But it's a work in progress. It's just constantly peeling away little things that show up as a projection, or the moment you get upset and you have to go inward and go, okay, that's a moment for me to heal. I take myself out of the situation, go and reflect. You might journal, you might just do a meditation on it and see where is that memory? What is the first time you felt that feeling? And then hold space for it, forgive it, give it love, and then let it go. And it's every day. And as they get bigger, it doesn't change, but I think the relationships with your children improve. Like I've been doing this now when my kids were in primary school, and now I've got an 18-year-old and a 14-year-old, and I have beautiful relationships with them. And I look at other parents who are struggling, and I'm like, no, I don't have that problem. We laugh, we enjoy each other's company. It's just, I don't have to discipline. I've never had to put them in the corner, the naughty corner. It didn't sit with me. I knew that there's a better way. And I think doing Dr. Shafali's courses on the conscious parenting, where I had to self-journal and do all those hard lookings, like witness myself for the first time, was the game changer. Yeah. But it's a hard job. No one wants to do it. They want the easy way.
Yeah, that's right. Unfortunately,
But it's
there's
worth it in
often
the
not.
long term. Like I don't have any, I wish I had learned it sooner than later. But anyway, it is what it is.
So is that what you mean by when you said you have to parent yourself? Is that
Yeah.
doing the journaling, doing the meditations, doing the inner work? Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, our kids, especially, they don't care what we say. They're watching us.
How you
And
model.
you
Yeah.
can't sit there going, don't smoke as you're smoking. Do
It's
you know
even
what I
like
mean?
technology. I can't say, oh, don't go on it if I'm using it too. I think the key is setting up boundaries. And there's firm boundaries, and then you've got some that you can be flexible. But I've been very blessed. I have beautiful children that are well mannered, and they're just lovely to be with. I enjoy their company. I've never had to go, oh, this is hard. And I see other parents in other forums and they complain, I just go, oh, this is where they need to realize they need to work on themselves first. And it's hard to say that and hard as a parent to hear that because we don't like to be told, oh, it's not about being in fault. It's just recognizing there's something that you need to work on to improve, to be a better version. Because you're just in the loop. You're just stuck in an emotional loop of experience and you keep repeating and repeating the pattern. And it's almost like you have to be the glitch and go, oh, I need to do the work. How about if I do some work on myself and see it from a new lens? Then I'll be able to hold compassion for this situation. I'll be able to listen. I'll be able to hold like a platform where I can just understand it from their point of view, from their perspective. And then you start to see a different way of the world. It's a new lens. Yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And everything changes as well because then your perception changes. How you see your children, how you see events, how you see everything.
And you stop nagging. It's because that's the worst thing for a kid. They don't want to hear their mum and dad nagging to do this, nagging to do that. It's like you almost become like you work as a team. You become their mentor. You become their coach. You become their ally. So it's a big difference. It's not dictatorship or authoritarian, nothing like that.
Because nobody likes that. We don't like it when people try and tell us what to do.
No, imagine in your own workplace. Yeah. So it's a different relationship, but it works. She's been doing this for years, and she always says at the start, 10 people only bought my book, but then after, like, people started to go, oh, this makes sense. And so once you're on that path, you just don't look back. You just go, this is what works. And I'm happy to advocate conscious parenting all the way.
Oh, good. And this is the thing, we need to be open to wanting to change, first of all. Realize that we are the only ones we can change.
Be the change you want to see and become.
Exactly.
And that's the self-mastery. That's what I talk about in the book. I realized over the last decade, I've been going on a path, a spiritual quest of self-mastery. And now I'm in a place where I'm in full joy, abundance, I'm happy, and it's because I've done the work and I know it works. And so I'm ready to share that and hopefully inspire other people to go on their own self-mastery. And you just begin where you're at. Don't begin where I was at. You begin where you're at, where you're comfortable. But if you keep at it every day, like, was it chop wood, carry water? If you continue to do that, you will get to that place where you want to be. Yeah.
And it's never too late to start. You were saying, I wish I'd known it earlier. Yes, that would have been great. However, when you know it, and what's important is that you start now. Don't keep putting it off, because it doesn't really matter how old your children are. There's always going to be a relationship.
Correct.
And even if you don't have children as well, I know we've been focusing on that, but it's just relationships.
Yeah, absolutely. It's improved my relationships. Yeah, absolutely. With all different personalities. I don't let things get to me anymore. It's like I understand everybody's where they're at based on their level of consciousness and level of their frequency. And I talk about that. I started to move through these different states of consciousness where 3D, it's very stuck to the identity, the label, the role that you play. It's almost like the avatar that you are in this world. And then the 4D is like when you start to stir in the polarity, you start to see things go, I don't think I agree with that anymore. You start to see the contrast, you start to question your reality and say, is this true for me? And then I started to peel that away and really do that, go down the rabbit hole, basically, learning about spiritual wisdom and Gnostics. And I was like, this resonates with me. This feels true to me. It's like almost like a remembrance of what I knew in the past. And then the 5D is about unity consciousness, where you see the Christ in yourself and also in others, and you start to model that behavior. How can I do better? How can I be better? How can I hold compassion for people? How can I show unconditional love, radical acceptance, which is tied into conscious parenting, because that's what her teachings is about. It's about radical acceptance of the isness of life. It's about unconditional love, not transactional, because so many of us are in transactional love. Do this for me and I'll give this to you. And I don't want that with my kids. It's unconditional love. So that's what I've learned being in this space of 5D. It's a state of your mind, how you see the world. You're not angry at it. You accept life as it is and you go with the flow. You're not like trying to go away and swim on the other side. You go downstream, you might bash against the rocks. That's life. It is a bit of a roller coaster, but enjoy it. We're here on Earth School to learn the lessons. And so that's what I've learned and that's what I try and do. I break up the book for you to see, and you go on the journey with me. This is 3D, this is 4D, and this is 5D. And 5D is fun. You start to unlock all these spiritual gifts and tools and start tapping into the higher realms, and it's interesting.
Good. So your book's called Journey from the Ego Center.
Heart Center. Yeah.
To the Heart Center.
Yeah.
So if people were to buy your book, you're stepping them through.
Yeah, I start from the ego. So the ego is like the alter ego, Suzanne, the Miss Lady Salsa. She was so caught up in her looks and the way she presented herself. And then it's the journey coming back to the heart. Because when you start to make decisions from your heart wisdom, it's almost connected now to your higher self. It's that beautiful place where it's the North Compass. It just is the knowing of what is right. Okay. And so a lot of us, we're stuck in our ego and when I say ego, I'm not saying like showing off. It's the false self. It's this belief that the world is like you're separate from the world. Whereas unity conscious is realizing, oh, we're all interconnected. Even though we're not blood related, we all bleed red. We've all got the same genetics. We all come from that downline of the DNA. So we're all interconnected, like the trees. You see the trees above, they're all separate, but the root system is interconnected. And that's how we are as humans. We are connected no matter what. But we've come up with all these illusions, your culture, my culture, your race. That's the illusion.
Separation.
That's the Maya. That's what causes separate consciousness. Unity consciousness, when I see everyone as me, and we're all interconnected. It's quite deep. It's a bit woo. But it's a place of calmness because you realize there's no need to be upset with other people because we're all going through their own journey, and I've been through that too. There's no need to do that. No more judgment. Let go of it.
Can you imagine how beautiful this world would be if everyone embraced that?
Oh yeah, it'd be a totally. And I think what would be even better if people invested in their own intrinsic work. Like we're so caught up, I got to do my hair, I got to do my nails. Like we're so caught up in the external things that we do. Not many people actually invest and do courses to go inward. And just imagine if you put that $5,000 into doing courses of self-mastery, learning about sovereignty, even like bringing it into the school system, like teaching mindfulness. Like I cannot believe still to this day, children aren't taught how to self-regulate. And they're the most stressed out with the amount of schoolwork that they're given. And if we just taught them as in the school system, let's start with the breath, let's do a breath. Because I went to the primary school, I talk about in the book. We did a whole term, 2 terms with grade 1s. It changed their life. They were just like, as soon as you hit the bowl, they were like in Zen. And the teachers are like, they're just like totally different students. And that's a beautiful age to teach it because they're in the foundation years. It will take them through their life on a different course, a different path. It amazes me, but it's just not recognized still. And I find that really sad.
And it'll be wonderful when that happens. In the meantime, we as individuals can use resources like your book to sort ourselves out. Stop trying to fix other people.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Sort yourself out, and then you become that role model of what is possible and how to do it as well.
100%.
And then you can teach the people around you. If you've got the little ones, you teach them when they're younger. If they're older, they might just they'll pick up things through osmosis. Or if it's friends, there will be a positive impact.
Yes, absolutely. And I think as parents or even as adults, if we can start to model that behavior, it does have a ripple effect in the community. Because when you've got your stuff sorted out and you're in that grounded way of being, it's an energy field. It starts to ripple onto the people around you, and the 5 people around you also who you hang out with. Very important. Look at your group of 5. Yes. Are they uplifting you? Are they supporting you? Are they cheering you on? Or are they doing the opposite, making you feel bad? Sometimes you need to do a cull. And it's not a bad thing. It's just like when you go into a different state of consciousness and frequency, it's a spiritual hygiene. You need to look after your field, and you need to be around that support, that village, that tribe that love you just as you are.
Oh, this has been a wonderful conversation, Suzanne. I love it. Other than go and buy your book, what's something that you could say to the people watching this that they can go and start implementing straight away? That's a first step.
I think the first step is looking inward and giving yourself that priority and dedicating, whether you need to put an alarm on your phone to say, all right, today is the day I'm going to start my supreme self-care. And it might start with going for a walk every day out in the sun. It might be having my meal mindfully, not distracted by the TV or watching social media while I eat. I'm actually going to commit to this meal. I'm going to use my 5 senses and I'm going to enjoy it. It might be doing a meditation app, joining up to those free apps. Insight, they're free. Calm. You can even go on YouTube. I want to learn a 5-minute meditation. I want to listen to a guide. I think it's the first step is being self-aware that you're not at the place where you want to be. You may be not feeling happy, or you're a bit disgruntled, or something doesn't feel right in you. And it's taking that initiative to say yes to myself. And I think if you can just start there, then it will just start to begin. But you've got to say, own it and say, yeah, I need to become a better version of myself and commit to that.
Absolutely. Without that acknowledgement, there's not, or that awareness, can't change anything if you're not aware that something needs to be changed.
Exactly. Yeah.
And you talked about going in. For some people, that can be a scary concept. So within your book, how do you?
Yeah, I do talk about that. I talk about what it's like, the noisiness and letting go. What I did, I actually went on a silent retreat. So I actually do a whole chapter explaining what it was like to be in silence for almost 7 days. And I'll tell you one thing, it was the best thing ever, because you don't have to do small talk with anyone. You can eat your meal mindfully, and you just realize, oh, I love this. I don't have to talk to anyone. I can go inward. And I was scared. Like, I thought I'll have to sing the Beatles, all the soundtracks. And everyone's like, you're not going to cope, Suzanne. You're a talker. Da, da, da. And I'm like, no, I can do this. I can do this. I'm not going to lie. The first 2-3 days, I was like, I can't get comfortable and I'm not listening. I went to sleep and I was like, that's just it. I need some R&R. But I think day 3, when I started to sit on the mat and I started to go, okay, Suzanne, you need to focus. You know what you notice? You realize that all this distraction, it starts to just ripple away. And your senses get amplified. So when you're eating your vegetarian meal, which is beautifully cooked, you just go, wow, I can taste the rice and I can taste the vegetables and everything tastes better. Like it's just like, and your skin becomes clearer and you're not like, you're eating clean, you're living clean. You're not distracted by digital technology. But when you come out of it and you start to go in reality, you're like, oh, it's really loud. Like the traffic's loud and everything's, but it was the best thing. Like I highly recommend everybody to do a silent retreat, whether it's a 24-hour or it's a 1 week, just to get to know yourself and love yourself. Be comfortable in your own company. We find it odd to sit with ourselves, but if you can't sit with yourself and love yourself, something's not right. Like we need to stop looking for someone to keep us company. I don't call it being lonely or alone. It's being comfortable in solitude, because you're never alone. Like you're never alone. So
Exactly.
That's where you got to get to that level. But when I did the silent retreat, I talk about my observations and how weird it was. But I loved it. I would love to do another one later on in life, definitely. It was very life-changing just to witness how much I think, how distracted I become. And sometimes you're in a little bit resistance, and it's almost like you're having a battle with your ego, going, no, I'm going to think of the breath, focus on the breath. And then after a while, it just starts to like dissolve and diminish. It doesn't have you in the driver's seat. The ego doesn't drive you anymore. Now you start to come from that perspective where I'm in the adult version of myself and I get to decide where I want to engage or where I need to sit back and just listen and observe. So that was very life-changing, silent retreat. People think you're mad when you say I'm going on one, but it's actually really good.
Yeah, it's actually something that I've considered before, but
Put it on your bucket
I'm
list.
gonna look
Highly
into it
recommend
more.
it. Don't be scared of it. It's amazing to do. And you just feel better in the body. There's something that shifts when you are clean eating. You're detoxed, you're drinking lots of water. It's just like a reset. That's basically what it feels like. It's like a rebirth. Yeah.
And I love, I haven't read your book, but I love how you are, I know you've got real life experiences. It's not
Yeah.
theory. You're talking about this is what happened, this is what I felt, and this is what I did about it, and this is what came out the other side. So there's that
Yeah.
clear journey for people, because it can be a little bit daunting to
Mm-hmm.
do that inner work, but to have it laid out where there's a plan and they can see, if I can persevere through this,
Mm.
this is my reward at the
Correct.
end.
Yeah.
That's what I'm working for.
I even went to the level of if something I watched inspired me, I created these QR codes. So this book is interactive. It's very different to any other book. It's not a book you're going to read and go, "Oh, that was good," and put it down. This book is asking you to take action. So I've actually put the first videos that I watched about Dr. Shafali's series. I did the Course in Miracles. I've put those videos, 365 daily lessons. I show you light language, what it looks like when I was packing up my house to declutter and come back to a new home. I've put all these little videos. So you, as the reader, you get to the end of the chapter, you see the reflection. I reflect about what I felt and the insight. And then if you're curious, you can scan your phone and go, I think I want to watch that video that she watched. And that's where you do your own journey. You go down the deep dive, you do your rabbit hole research, and you see what resonates with you. Because I say at the very beginning, this is my truth. This is my experience. You practice discernment. You figure out what resonates with you. I'm not saying you have to do what I did. Do it in your own style. But this is just a way to say to the other person, but I'm average mum. I live in the suburbs, quietly living my life. But these things were significant enough for me to record that I felt, no, this is a legacy. I need to be of service to tell other women that are going through it, it's okay. You're not alone. You're not going crazy. But this is a beautiful thing that's happening, because it means that you're activating that junk DNA. And we're not even using all our true potential. It's like 99% junk DNA. It's actually the Pandora's box to your divinity, to your higher self, to your spiritual gifts. And that's what I'm trying to inspire you. Don't be afraid of it. Allow it in. Yeah.
I love it. I think it's incredible. And it's actually, you're creating, or you have created a tool that will truly empower women in the proper sense of the word. We need help, but we don't need a crutch.
Correct. Yeah, I want you to go, because you are your own guru. You don't need to watch all the videos. I enjoy watching the videos because I just take what resonates with me. I dabble. I don't say I'm like a full-on fundamentalist or extremist in topics. I dabble and I go, oh, that sits with me. I like that information. I like that information. And that's what I say to you. You are actually your own guru. Everybody is their own guru. If you tap into your higher self, you know the truth. You intuitively need to switch that on. It takes practice, and meditation is a great start, because that stillness and that quietness allows the higher self to get activated, allows the pineal gland to open, the third eye, the chakra system starts to open. For me, I had the Kundalini awakening. I didn't know what that was. So I recorded that, because people will be having it this year. Mark my word. It's going to happen. More people will have it. We're on the 9-year, 2025. Trust me, there's going to be Kundalini awakenings and people are going to be freaking out. What is happening to me? But it's nothing to be scared of. Your soul will decide you are ready for that activation. You're ready to open up all those chakra systems.
What does Kundalini awakening mean?
Well, to me, what I've learned about it's the activations of all your chakras. They start to open up. So we have our chakra system starting from the root, the sacral, the solar plexus, the heart, the throat, the third eye, the crown, and then it keeps going, obviously. But this Kundalini, it feels like this spiral, like a vortex energy, and it starts from the base. And you can feel, and your body will start to swirl, and it's almost like a pelvic thrusting. You're like, what is going on here? I don't, and you can get freaked out. Some people stop it while it's happening because they're like, oh, what is that? And they tense. But I didn't. I allowed my body to express what needed to come. For me, I can hear it crackle. It's like the top. You feel this crackle, and it's this energy just feels through you. And it's like a feeling, they call it DMT, but it's a chemical reaction that pulsates up. It's like a Christos oil that's in us. We all have it in us. It's about when it's going to erupt. And some people call it like the serpent, the snake. It goes up and it hits through. But when you start to do that and you feel that, it's this sense of euphoria and bliss, and like nothing can hurt you. Like it's just, I've never smoked anything in a drug form, but I imagine that's what it must be feeling, because everyone's tapping into that. But we don't need to use drugs. We actually have that sensation ready to activate when we do the work. And some people, it happens just spontaneous. It happened for me spontaneous, but some people might do courses to activate it. I always believe that your soul will know when it's ready. Yeah. But it was quite confronting. And I had to go, what is this? And I had to research and go, oh, that's what it is. But it activates all these other things. And I learned light language came through. And that's tapped into like 8th dimension, like a vocal chanting and toning. And that could be quite healing, because when you hear it, your brain, your logic center goes, I don't know what that is. What does that mean? It's got nothing to do with the logic or the intellectual brain. It's connected to your soul. So it's like a quantum healing that happens when you hear the vocal toning of someone practicing light language. And when I started to record that, I gave myself a challenge. Like, if I can do this 10 times in a row, I have to start sharing this. And I can just naturally, if I sit in stillness, it just comes through. And it's just when my friends hear it, they hear the message, their soul hears it. I may not know what it means, but for them, they'll say back to me, I needed to hear that. This came through. And I said, that's good. As long as you get what you need out of it, I'm happy. But I always feel very bliss and at joy. I'm always glowing and smiling afterwards. So I believe it's like our soul language. It's what we were. It's a universal language. Yeah.
Love this conversation so much. Thank you. Is there anything else that you would like to say or add before we wrap it up?
No, I just appreciate this. This is my first time conversating and conversing with you, and it's been fun. Like for me, it's just I've been holding on to this book and waiting for it to come out, and I'm excited because now it's finally on pre-order on Pegasus Publications and also Amazon. So it's officially out on the 27th of March. The ebook's there for Kindle readers. If you want the paperback, go for it. But yeah, look, I'm going to be really honest. There will be some sections that might trigger people. And then that's where you need to maybe put the book down and do a bit of self-reflection. Why does that bother me, what she's written? Because there is some hard truths in there, and especially the conscious parenting section that can be quite confronting, and even things that have happened.
Where the growth
This is where the growth comes. And I think it's good to have a little bit of discomfort, because through the discomfort comes that growth where we can take change, we can take action to show up in the best version of ourselves. And so I hope that book does trigger some people, or some people are like, oh my God, that's happened to me. Thank God I'm not alone. So there'll be two parties. Some people will be like, this is just too full on. I don't know about this. But if you know me, this is my truth. I can say this story over and over again. This is what happened. It's true. 100% true. Yeah.
I love it. And the links will be below this video so people can click on them and change their life.
I hope so. I really do. This is the year of change, and I'm hoping that whoever buys this book says, yeah, I'm ready. I want to practice self-mastery. I want to be more authentic. I want to be aligned to my truth. I want to be a sovereign being. And I think if we all start to do that, this whole energy field and this 3D world we live in will start to accelerate into a high frequency. And we'll have more people in that 5D state of consciousness where we'll be at peace with each other. No more war. Because we realize we're all family. What are we fighting for? Simple.
Exactly. Thank you so much, Suzanne.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
As we wrap up today's enlightening episode of the Pathways to Wellbeing podcast, I would like to thank Suzanne for such an inspiring conversation. Suzanne's journey of healing, self-discovery and empowerment is truly powerful, and I'm sure many of our listeners will resonate with her story. If this conversation has sparked something in you, take that as a sign to start prioritizing yourself. Begin with small steps, mindful breathing, journaling, or simply acknowledging where you are and where you want to go. And if you're ready to dive deeper, check out Suzanne's book, The Journey from the Ego to the Heart Center. It is a powerful guide to transformation, and you can find it and all of other Suzanne's links below. At Sacred You, we are committed to creating a space where women from all over the world can support, uplift, and empower each other. Visit Sacred You's website to explore upcoming workshops, events, and community offerings. Check us out at www.sacredyou, that's the letter U.love. And as always, if this episode spoke to you, please subscribe to our podcast, share it with a friend, or leave us a review. Until next time, stay grounded, stay inspired, stay connected, and keep walking your pathway to well-being. From our heart to yours, thank you.